and really doing that, because what that allows me to do is to really not have that stress on my family while I'm growing the business, right? Yeah. So, in that, if you still have your W-2 job, well, now your family is already fed, right? So now you can have a lot more flexibility and creativity as the business kind of grows and progresses.
And I can't tell you how intelligent that is, but also you understand that you're building for the future and you have delayed gratification. You're going to give 8 hours to your employer. What are you going to give yourself and your family? 2 hours.
Hello and welcome to the Prepare to Compete podcast, where we talk all things VA disability benefits, real estate, entrepreneurship, and more. Kenneth Davis, how you feeling today, my brother?
Man, I'm just wonderful, bro. Just excited to educate and be able to talk more in depthly about some of these entrepreneurial ins and outs, ups and downs, on how things work, right? So.
Absolutely. Being a business owner yourself, we're in a new studio here, man. Definitely, the business is growing. We definitely appreciate the growth. We actually appreciate everybody sticking with us and really tuning in. So thank you guys for the support. We really couldn't do it without you guys.
No, 100%. And we're just here to make sure that we want to serve, right? Being able to serve, we also need support from you guys. It is a relationship. So ultimately, we want to make sure that you guys are being able to benefit from this show and also benefit from services that we offer to you. So anything we can do, please don't hesitate to reach out.
So now when we're talking about the relationship, right, between veterans and entrepreneurship, it's really a distinct one, right? We've attended some different veteran conferences and kind of focused on the entrepreneur journey of, even yourself with being a veteran and starting your own business. So we definitely want to dive into that. But we also want to kind of give people some recognition and some statistics, right? Where, a lot of veterans actually, when they leave military service, they want to go and they want to start their own business, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it actually takes a lot longer for veterans to do so. And I know we have a couple, statistics and numbers that we kind of heard is like 8 or 9 years for veterans to get into that. So what we really want to do today is get into kind of some of your experience with starting a business and kind of asking different questions to really kind of motivate our veterans to get started on their entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah. So, obviously, just transitioning out of military isn't easy. It isn't easy. It was something that you actually go through. When you go through it, you feel it. You feel it. And regardless what any veteran says, the military changes you. The military ultimately changes you. And when it changes you, it's going to either change you from the good or for the bad. But ultimately, it's going to change you. And you always want to tap into the good, right? However, everyone's not that focused to be able to do so. You deal with challenges, not the normal challenges that a civilian would then, have to deal with. So with these challenges, we always want to understand that the military veterans or active duty who are in process of transitioning are worried about the plan to readjustment into the civilian sector, right? As a veteran, you go through different mental challenges, you go through self-worth challenges, you go through challenges of lack of education, lack of knowledge, and just the lack of being able to just walk the earth without some type of rigorous standard that you need to abide by every single day. And it's ultimately something that can really mess with you in a deep type of way. So those are some of the challenges that veterans deal with on that transition, which could ultimately hurt, veterans getting to their entrepreneurship journey a lot longer.
Sometimes it's kind of hard to really understand and kind of be inspired, right? When you are trying to start your own business, you kind of look at Instagram and social media and, you see the glitz and glamour of entrepreneurship. But today we kind of want to, get some information from you and really kind of turn back the curtain, right? And just really, what are some kind of truths about entrepreneurship that aren't really showcased online that you might want to kind of share to our listeners here today?
Well, if you're looking to get any type of compensation out of your organization in less than 5 to 10 years, just hang it up. Just hang it up. If you really want to not be self-employed, right? We're talking about a business versus self-employed. There's two different things, right? A lot of people can create a job for themselves, but a lot of people don't know how to develop a business. And that's very important because when you talk about development of business, can a business run without you for 3 months? If no, you have a job. I want you to know, you have a job. Every day, you're going to wake up to go to your job every single day. Okay. So it's just those challenges of getting correct structure, staying motivated. But again, you're in this, and when you're in this, you may have your team, you may have your business partner, you may have your family, but you're in this by yourself. You started it, you're in this by yourself. It's not going anywhere. You're in this by yourself. So are you gonna toughen up to get through it? You know, unfortunately, we all know the statistics when we talk about the failure of businesses. How often do successful businesses last?
They don't last that often, and definitely a lot of trials and tribulations that you're really going to experience as a business owner. So you want to really, be highly motivated and make sure you're going into business and doing something that you're willing to put that 10,000 hours in, right?
For sure.
And a lot of times you really want to put that 10,000 hours in before you actually leave, your traditional employer. Like even, myself being in entrepreneurship and doing that, I still got a 9 to 5. I'm still on somebody's payroll, and I'm gonna clock that for as long as I possibly can, right? And really doing that, because what that allows me to do is to really not have that stress on my family while I'm growing the business, right?
Yeah.
So as you just alluded to, you don't want to plan on taking too much money out of the business the first 5 to 10 years, right? So, in that, if you still have your W-2 job, well, now your family is already fed, right? So you're not worrying about that, and you're not worrying about your basic needs. So now you could have a lot more flexibility and creativity as the business kind of grows and progresses.
And I can't tell you how intelligent that is, but also you understand that you're building for the future and you have delayed gratification. In this time of delayed gratification, I understand, and you understand, that you have to work a 9 to 5. So you've already given up 8 hours. So now, how many hours are you going to put into your business thereafter? You're going to give 8 hours to your employer. What are you going to give yourself and your family? 2 hours. If you're not working at least, bare minimum, 2 hours a day. A day. We're talking about 2 hours. If you're not working at least 2 hours a day thereafter your 9 to 5 employer to be able to have a job through your employer, you're nowhere near in a position to start a business. That's bare minimum. I'm not sure what most do when you get home, you're tired. We're all tired, right? We have typically at the ages of 25 to 45. That's when the entrepreneurial spirit just really thrives, right? But during that time frame, you have kids, you have a wife, you have your 9 to 5 where you got to work, you have to spend time with family. How do you split your time up throughout the day?
Yeah, you really have to be extremely organized, right?
Extremely.
And I've kind of heard different theories on just kind of compartmentalizing the day, right? Where you focus on something between 9 to 12, then, 1 to 3, you're doing something else. And then, 3 to 6, you have something else you're doing, right? So you really want to show and really build a schedule for what you're doing. And that schedule is going to be very essential to you being successful as a business owner.
100%. And again, a mentor of mine taught me the value of time blocking. From 1 to 3, I'm doing this. Time blocking, staying extremely organized, staying on time, respect others' time, right? That's another thing. But staying on time, staying present, and staying in the moment when you're in that time block, because you have to complete that task during that time block. It rolls into being organized.
No, that's a good one. And I actually just thought something when you were saying that. It reminded me of that Denzel movie. I think it was like Mo Better Blues. His girl got mad at him because he practiced between this time and this time. And she was like, hey, I want you to, come go on a date. Let's chill, do that. These are my practice
are the
hours. You got to go ahead and respect that.
You have to respect it because at the end of the day, it takes no time off. You are the starter. You are the finisher. Don't finish halfway. Don't finish at the halfway marker, because if you finish at the halfway marker, you're never going to succeed to get to the point that you need to go. So, but yeah, so when we're talking about entrepreneurship, man, it's a long journey that you're going to bump your head, where you're not going to get everything right. But in development, you're learning. And I don't think everyone understands the value of that learning. If you fail, that failure, I personally don't take it as a failure. I've gained some wisdom and knowledge that I can carry on to be able to pass on to my peers, my family, subordinates, so on and so forth. So again, it's a long journey, you know?
And, through that journey, again, it's going to be a lot of trials and tribulations. But what I want you to kind of, I guess, really impart on the veterans here today is really how can they actually, really prepare for that, right? Just kind of that mental toughness, that emotional toughness that you really need to have to kind of get through those moments.
I think every veteran, if at any point in time that you went through service, I think I can easily say almost every veteran had a period of time that they're going through service that they had to push through mentally. They had to push through mentally. And it really, you had to dig deep. And that was a very rough time for you. Being able to tap into those moments and being able to carry that out through your civilian life, it puts you so ahead that you're a cut above the rest. I don't know if you guys remember the commercial, right? When they say, hey, I did more before 9 a.m. than you've done all day. I think it was an Army commercial or something. A lot of times it's true.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's true. I've done more before 9 a.m. than you have done the entire day.
Yeah. You actually think the Army say 6 a.m. They up.
Yeah, going.
They up and going.
But being able to tap into that and carrying that over to your business, carrying that desire, carrying that want to be successful, or whatever you consider success is. Again, if you're wanting to be self-employed, but be self-employed to be able to manage your time, right, in your business, that's fine. But there are going to be some moments that you're not going to want to do this. You're not going to want to think about going to your business to develop things. You're not going to want to educate yourself. And that's what I think that's a huge component as well, where once you get to a certain point, people want to stop learning. I'm a forever learner. I know you're a forever learner. Being in the world of academia does not mean, that you're going to specifically go to a specific institution to learn. There should be no reason that you're bare minimum not reading 12 books a year. There's so many options to be able to gain knowledge, and you are not reading 12 books a year. That's incredible to me, because at the end of the day, those pieces of those books, and I'm not talking about Harry Potter. No disrespect to Harry Potter either. But what I'm saying is, if you're not willing to put yourself in a position to be uncomfortable to learn and put yourself on that goal, at least 12 books a year, you don't want this bad enough.
Absolutely.
You don't want it bad enough.
Well, my man, E.T. said you gotta want it badder than you want to breathe.
No, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you just mentioned different things as far as the differences between an owner-operator and an actual business owner, right?
Yeah.
And, I'm licensed as a real estate agent, and, everybody runs their real estate business, just very differently, right? It's, we're pretty much our own bosses a lot of times, and we often like to think of ourselves as business owners. But when you really think about it, right, and just what you alluded to is that the business don't run a lot of times without that agent, right? Because I'm showing the house, right? I'm taking the calls, I'm processing the paperwork and all that. So it's like it's really not. I just created a whole nother job for myself, right?
Yeah.
It could be a very high paying job if you do it right, but another job. So
you have no limits.
What we want to talk about is just your different experiences as becoming a business owner and kind of balancing that initial, started a business where you kind of balancing being an owner operator, but you kind of want to take yourself out of the business. And so, how do you kind of really develop like, hey, I need to do these things myself and other things I can kind of delegate?
So I want to kind of go back to the point of time blocking, right? When we're talking about those time blocking moments, that's going to be very essential when you're trying to create balance, right? The creation of balance. And I don't think it's ever a point of balance. It's never going to be a point of balance. And I read this book, and it was called The Sweet Spot, right? Where you're able to find an area where everything, it's not necessarily balanced, but it's like on a pendulum, right? It's balancing back and forth back. It's like, oh, well, if your family needs more attention, if your business needs more attention, I have to change the tires on these cars. So it's never going to be completely balanced. Something is always going to be off kilter. But finding that sweet spot and being able to be organized and be able to time block throughout the day-to-day experiences, and also creating a phenomenal team. That is going to put you in a position to where you can be balanced. Okay, there should be no reason that you do not have a phenomenal person in your life that's going to be able to provide you mentorship, that's going to provide you extracurricular fun activities, that's going to provide you knowledge, right? That's going to sit here and go to the depths with you and go ahead and work. By creating a team, a really phenomenal team, that's going to be able to create the balance. But initially, there's going to be no balance. There's not. It's just it's very much so impossible to be able to find that balance at times, because at the end of the day, that balance is it's only 24 hours out the day. If anyone that thinks that 24 hours out in the day is a long time, you're not doing enough. That's what that means. You have too much extra time, and and again, that's not saying that you're not successful. Because success is relative. But, balance is tough, man. Balance is tough.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to find that balance. And, you really want to get into, really establishing and making it an actual business, right?
Yeah.
Get out of just being the owner operator, man, so that you can start taking those long vacations and you can spend that additional time with your family. And obviously you can't do that in the beginning. What advice do you have for veterans starting their business? And right now they're just a business owner, right? They're operating the business, they're doing it. They have some people they hire, but how to actually get them out of that mode where they're doing everything, right? So, what advice do you have for veterans that are doing everything for their business and really to get them to the next level and kind of start stepping outside where they can take a step back?
Great question. So, first, learn how to be a leader. Learn how to be a leader. That's number one. You cannot develop a team, an organized team, and a successful team without knowing how to be a leader. Find mentorship, again, to be able to lead. That's number one. 2, replicate and duplicate. If you know everything, you're never going to be able to leave your business. Okay, because most small business owners, and again, the qualification of small business varies, right? But most business owners, again, has some type of foot in the door of their business. Replicate and duplicate and download, okay? You should have a SOP in all aspects of your business, okay? There should be no reason that you do not have SOPs in regards to your business, okay? And then also, create a team that is almost indestructible. Okay, a lot of times your initial portions of your team are going to be your friends and family that's going to be able to provide assistance. And some of those friends and family, they're not going to help you. They're not going to help you. So don't even ask for the help. Okay, you can ask, but have a lower expectation at times. And I'm not saying because friends and family are not going to be successful in regards to what you're asking for, but a lot of times you're in a time capsule and you're just that friend or family in a personal standpoint, or a brother or sister sense, or a friend sense, and that professionalism is removed. So you're in that time capsule. So with that, develop a great team. Find out how to lead, develop a great team, and again, when you develop a great team, that team is going to support you, but you also have to support them. Knowing how to serve. Once you become to knowing how to serve others, there is no other value that you can provide outside of serving others. Make sure you're serving your team. Make sure you're serving your clients. Everyone says that you are, again, running a business, right? And trying to be owner operator, make money, and know how to serve. When you're able to know how to serve, to take yourself out of a selfish standpoint and wanting the limelight, know how to remove yourself and become small. Because if your business is able to shine and you're able to become small out your business, that's when you can kind of get out of it, get out the way of the growth, But it's always going to need you, but know how to disappear out of it. But because some people don't want to relinquish control, right? Trust the people.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like you're saying, it all comes down to a lot of personal sacrifice and really just kind of some decision making, right?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes you have to make some tough decisions when you are starting your business and you're looking to grow it. It's like, your kid might have soccer practice and you might have to bring the laptop out with you, so
I've been there, done that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, and that's kind of what we want to take this next one, right? We want to kind of talk a little bit more about what kind of personal sacrifices that you're comfortable sharing that you had to make because you're a business owner, right? And then we'll get into the decision making part of it as well. But just let us know some of those kind of at least one or two of those stories about personal sacrifice that you had to make, with making Veterans for Veterans as successful as it's been so far.
Well, when we're talking about personal sacrifice, I think a lot of times people think of monetary value or time or different things of that nature. A lot of times we don't include health, right? And especially mental health. When you're developing and growing a business and making something out of nothing in any fashion, you're going to sacrifice the old you. And when you sacrifice the old you and able to grow outside of that, again, that sacrifice is not only going to test you, but it's going to put you in a different stratosphere where most people have never even been. It is an evolutionary experience. It's an out of mind, out of body experience that it's hard to explain. It's hard.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
It's very hard. It's very hard. When we're talking about the mental health of veterans and again, the increase of suicide rates and how they go through what they go through, when you transition out of civilian sector, you're sacrificing your old self. You're never going to have that time back ever again. Only thing that you got is memories and the people that you came with. Mm-hmm. So that is a huge sacrifice. We can talk about the obvious, right? A time with family, just sleep deprivation, so many different things. But we never talk about the mental health standpoint where sometimes you're sacrificing your own sanity. Mm-hmm. You have to, sometimes at moments, you have to be crazy. And I don't mean to utilize that type of verbiage, but for lack of better terms, you have to remove your logical sense to continuously keep pushing going. You have to be a brave person to have your hand bitten and then to be able to reach out to give again.
And not only do it again, but do it time and time again, right? Because even when you kind of think of what we're doing right here, right? This is a whole new venture. We're starting a podcast. Now we're syndicating it and, we have it on Apple Music, Spotify. Definitely thank you guys for listening to wherever you're 100%. Tuning in from. And, you have to kind of be crazy to think like, oh, somebody's actually going to tune in and listen to or watch my podcast, right? You have to have a certain level of belief in yourself for an individual to actually really consider like, yeah, I can actually make something out of nothing and it really be impactful and powerful. And, even outside of that, really have a financial impact where I could actually utilize this to provide for my family. So now we're looking at that. I know you were kind of unpacking some things there, and I wanted to go into, a little bit more into kind of those sacrifices that you make, right? And even sometimes the people that you're sacrificing for don't even understand that you're sacrificing for them. And I think that is, something that, you kind of really start to struggle with. It's like, well, you staying up late hours, you doing this, you doing that, you still, myself, for example, you still going to your 9 to 5, but you got your 6 to 10 at the same time. And, you being pulled in a lot of different directions, right? You have friends like, oh man, we don't hang out the same. Or you have your spouse or significant other like, oh, why we can't go on date night? It's like, well, so there's so many different sacrifices. And I think when you key on that mental health point, it kind of had me thinking about the fact that it's like, man, you're making those sacrifices, but the individuals you're sacrificing for don't even realize that you're sacrificing for them, which just adds a whole nother emotional level and component to it.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, having a family is already tough. Just in general, definitely when we're talking about the economy, definitely when we're talking about the way of the world today, and just knowing different things that around the world that most civilians or most people don't know, right? And understanding, having some of those insights around the world, once you're able to do that, because when we're talking about veterans, some veterans have never been deployed, but a lot that we deal with have been deployed, seen various combat actions, and seen, really detrimental things or had to assist in regards to detrimental things. So when we're talking about sacrifice to others, some people may or may not realize it. However, but this is where I get in back to the component. You almost must instill in you that component of not being logical. Right? Because it is logical to, this is not our parents' generation, right? When we're talking about, hey, we can go to our 9 to 5, be able to do what we need to do and be able to put a roof over our head typically. A lot of people aren't doing so well, whether if it's economically, whether if it's mentally, because it puts a mental strain, but not having that factor of not being logical, unfortunately, trickles down into family life, your friends, your loved ones that they just may not understand. And that's why I talk about having to be alone and being okay with being alone. If you're not okay with that, it's a lonely journey. It's a lonely journey. And when it becomes a lonely journey, you have to tap into that mental toughness because you're going to need to develop it. You have to tap into that mental toughness and get up every single day. Consistency, 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 consistency. So when you do that, your loved ones, they must allow that to happen because you're changed as a person.
So, great information that we're giving the veterans and the listeners, man. Really appreciate that. And we always want to make sure we really have people leave with some practical steps as well. Because, we're giving a lot of philosophy and different things as well. And that's much needed, right? Because these are kind of topics that we're getting into that, many people really don't dive into at this level, but we want to give them more of like some practical things as well. So now, so even from your experience as far as leaving your job, right? So you had your business, you started Veterans for Veterans, and you had to kind of keep your job for a certain amount of time. So when would you say an entrepreneur should actually consider leaving their 9 to 5 to be a full-time business owner?
It all depends. It all depends. I think it is a personal standpoint on when you're able to leave your position. If again, personally, I would say if you're not making your salary 3 times over, you probably shouldn't be leaving your job.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love that you said 3 times over there, right? Because you want to make your salary 3 times over before you leave your job. That's kind of the best type of standpoint to take there. A lot of people get the advice where they're told, oh, well, you know, once you actually replace your income or you make, you know, enough of your monthly income 3 to 6 months in a row, leave your job. And I'm like, nah, don't do that, because you might have a bad summer. You know, you might have a bad summer going. And when you became a business owner, right, at least myself, my goal wasn't to replace my 9-to-5 income. My goal was to increase my income, right? You know, the way I look at it is like, I want to do that 3 times over, because I want to make sure that I'm in abundance, right? I just don't want to be able to get by and pay my bills and still maintain the same quality of life. As a business owner, I want to have an increased quality of life.
100%. Why can't you live in abundance, right? You want to do that, but also having a plan of action, being able to do that step by step, and having smart goals and smart plans to develop through that. You know, a lot of people are just going off of a whim. If you fail to plan, execution is not going to be there. You have to plan. So planning that exit is very important. And when we're talking about 3 times over, and the reason I say that is because Uncle Sam wants theirs as well, right? Every state is different. Everywhere you go is different. But you have to understand that taxes is a real bill that it ruins some small businesses if you don't plan ahead for it. So when we're talking about being able to take out of the business to replace your job, there should be nothing less than 3 times over, you know, so.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then we throw some statistics out there. Like, you know, here we're in Las Vegas, Nevada. So I think the typical household income is about $57,000 a year. So let's just say, you know, for regular numbers, right, you're making $50,000 a year. You don't want to leave your job until you're making, you know, $150,000 a year, right, in that business. That would be a really good benchmark there. And also, you want to also understand that once you start that business, you know, you have a spouse or a significant other, they probably ain't gonna want to work no more, right? So if they're working and doing different things, you might want to kind of incorporate that as an increase in your cost of living as well.
Yeah, but that's the thing that you don't consider as well. You must have a supportive spouse. I mean, you know, your significant other, they're so very important. You know, my wife, she does so much. Being able to do things to carry around the house, being able to do things that I'm not able to do, because obviously we're running opportunities in regards to business. You must have a supportive spouse to be able to push you through to where you need to go. Because unfortunately, you're not doing this. You can't do it alone, which you can do it alone initially to get things going. But it depends on where you want to stand. If you want to be self-employed, yeah, you can do it alone all day. But if you want to actually build a business, you need a phenomenal team. And we have a phenomenal team. You have a phenomenal team.
Absolutely. And when we're talking about growing that team, right, we're going to give them another practical piece of advice there. And how would you look at hiring, you know, family and friends and different relatives, right, when you're growing your business? What kind of tips do you have for veteran entrepreneurs when they're getting started and they feel the urge to, like, yeah, let me give my cousin this job, let me give my friend here this role, and that sort of thing?
Man, you want to know one thing? I think about it like this. Jobs have standard qualifications for a reason. When you're applying to a job, you must submit your resume, you must submit an interview. Why are you going to put one of the most precious things and give them to someone who's not qualified to actually do it?
Absolutely.
That's one of the most, for me, I'm not going to drop my child off at just anyone. So why would I why would I position the source of my livelihood just giving it to anyone?
Absolutely. Yeah, because it definitely makes an impact. And how we alluded to earlier, they're not going to treat it the same way, right? It's just given to them. And you really want to make sure you put people in position. Now, again, if you have qualified people around you that, you know, can serve in those roles, absolutely, they could be the first source that you look into, because they can learn and kind of grow with you, right?
I agree. Development is cool. Development is, again, when you're talking about starting off things, I want to definitely give, make sure that entrepreneurs understand that growing and developing a team member who went through the journey with you is invaluable. Okay, being able to know how to grow and develop a team member is invaluable. So I'm not necessarily saying don't hire friends and family, but what I'm saying is be careful with the people that you deliver and provide the most precious things to you, because you're gonna run into some really scary things, things that you may never thought that will come, that you thought you have to deal with some loved ones. So at least make sure you do your due diligence before making that leap.
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't want to put yourself where you damage the personal relationship, right?
Oh, most
because you
definitely.
gave them a job or position they weren't well qualified for.
Most definitely. Totally agreed.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, man, thanks, man. This was some real good information. You know, we haven't really gave them too many topics on entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to get into that a little bit more. Reach down into the comments, man. If you have certain questions that you want to talk about regarding the veteran experience of being an entrepreneur, definitely we'll definitely start covering those. And, did you have any closing remarks for him before we kind of take it out?
Man, one thing I will say, entrepreneurship is one of the most difficult things that you're ever going to do in your life. And with it being one of the most difficult things that you do in your life, so a piece of advice I can give is never stop. Never stop. Failure is just a learning experience. As long as you continue to develop and grow and learn, you're never going to be unsuccessful. Continue.
Absolutely, man. I love that advice right there. I love those closing remarks. You're only unsuccessful when you don't try or when you stop trying. So continue to do what you need to do to get to that next level. Focus on getting 1% better every single day.
Yes, sir.
And you'll be 365 by the end of the year, man. Thank you guys for watching. Prepare to compete. We out. Peace.